Hey there. You know what keeps coming up in my conversations with business owners lately? This feeling that something's just off. Their businesses are growing, they're getting clients, but something isn't quite clicking. And today, I want to share something I've discovered after years of seeing this pattern play out. Let me tell you about Sarah, not her real name, by the way. I met her for coffee a while back in that little cafe just off Miracle Mile. She's an architect, been in business for about 8 years, and from the outside, everything looked perfect. Great portfolio, steady stream of clients, talented team. But as we sat there, she started opening up about what was really going on. Her clients loved the final results of her projects, but the journey there, that's where things were falling apart. You know what she told me? She said, "I don't get it. I deliver amazing work, but I'm getting fewer referrals than when I first started. Clients seem more demanding, more frustrated, and I'm working harder than ever." We decided to quietly reach out to some of her recent clients, both the happy ones and the ones who seemed frustrated. What we heard was eye-opening. One client, a restaurant owner, loved Sarah's design, but said he almost quit the project halfway through. Why? Because he couldn't get clear answers about the timeline, and he had investors breathing down his neck. He needed to know when he could open his doors, but every time he asked, he got vague responses. Another client, a young couple building their dream home, said they felt completely lost during the process. They'd send an email with a question and hear nothing for days. Then, suddenly, they'd get urgent requests for decisions they needed to make right away. They felt like they were always either waiting or rushing. But here's what really hit home. A commercial client who'd worked with Sarah 3 times before decided to go with another architect for their latest project. When we asked why, they said, "Sarah's designs are amazing, but we never know what's happening. With our new architect, we get weekly updates whether there's news or not. We never have to wonder." This hits close to home for me. A few years ago, I had a client, let's call him Mike, who ran a successful plumbing company. He was doing everything right, or so he thought. Quality work, fair prices, skilled team. But he was losing jobs to competitors who honestly weren't as good as he was. One day, Mike called me in a panic. He'd just lost a major contract with a property management company he'd worked with for years. When he finally got honest feedback, it wasn't about the quality of his work. It was about all the little things. His team would show up without notice. Different plumbers would give different explanations for the same problem. Invoices were inconsistent. The property manager was spending too much time managing their relationship with Mike's company instead of the other way around. Let me show you what this looks like when it's done right. There's an interior designer I work with. She completely transformed how she runs her business. Here's what happens now when a client works with her. The moment a client signs on, they get a welcome package. Not just some boring contract, but a beautiful guide that walks them through exactly what to expect. They know what decisions they'll need to make and when. They know when they'll hear from her team and how. Every Monday, like clockwork, her clients get an update, even if it's just, "We're still waiting on those fabric samples we discussed." No client ever wonders what's happening with their project. When they need to make a decision, they get a simple email with clear options, clear deadlines, and clear implications of each choice. No pressure, no rush, just clarity. Want to know what happened when Sarah started implementing some of these kinds of changes? Within 3 months, her referrals doubled. But here's the really interesting part. She wasn't doing anything different in terms of design. She was just managing the experience better. Her team started using a simple project management system, nothing fancy, just consistent. Every client interaction was documented, every promise was tracked, every timeline was visible. Now, I know you might be thinking, this sounds great, but I barely have time to do the work, let alone manage all this extra stuff. I hear this all the time. But here's the truth. You're already managing it. You're just doing it reactively, putting out fires, dealing with unhappy clients, explaining delays, redoing work because of miscommunications. Another company, an accounting firm, was swamped during tax season. I mean, who isn't, right? But they were drowning in client questions, missing deadlines, and their team was burning out. The owner, let's call her Janet, kept saying she didn't have time to set up better systems. She was too busy putting out fires. Sound familiar? Here's what we discovered. Janet's team was spending about 2 hours every day just answering the same questions over and over. When do you need my documents? What's the status of my return? Did you get the email I sent? So we started small, really small. Janet recorded a 5-minute video explaining their process and created a simple checklist for clients. Nothing fancy. She literally recorded it on her phone between client meetings. Her assistant added it to their welcome emails. The result? Client questions dropped by 40% in the first week. Her team suddenly had an extra hour each day to actually work on returns. But here's the really interesting part. Clients started commenting on how sophisticated their process was. All from a 5-minute video and a checklist. But let me tell you about the obstacle that really surprised us. Janet's biggest resistance wasn't about time or resources. It was about feeling too corporate. She worried that adding structure would make her firm feel less personal, less boutique. You know what actually happened? Because her team wasn't constantly scrambling to answer basic questions, they had more time for meaningful client conversations. They could focus on understanding their clients' businesses, their goals, their challenges. Their clients actually felt like they were more personal, more boutique. And they started making more introductions to their friends and colleagues. You know what's funny? Just last week, I was talking with Sarah. Yes, the same architect from earlier. She looked at me and said, I can't believe I used to think being disorganized was just part of being creative. Now her firm handles 3 times the projects they used to, and she actually took a 2-week vacation last month, first one in 5 years. And Janet, our accounting firm owner, she just hired 2 new team members because her business has grown so much. But here's what she's most proud of. She hasn't worked a weekend since tax season started. That's what happens when you build your business around the client experience instead of just the service. Look, I know this might feel overwhelming. You might be looking at your business right now thinking about all the things that you can improve. But remember, both Sarah and Janet started with just one small change. One video, one checklist, one weekly update. If you'd like to learn more about the mistakes business owners make and how to resolve them, just let me know. I'd be happy to share a great resource with you. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What's been your biggest challenge in managing your client experience? Drop a comment below or send me a message. Let's keep this conversation going because at the end of the day, we're all in this together, trying to build businesses that not only serve our clients, but also give us the life we dreamed about when we first started.